He thought he had escaped everyone. The galaxy was loud, crowded, dangerous, traders, pirates, colonists, governments, all tangled in each other. He had watched it for years. And he had grown tired. He bought a planet. Not a small moon or a hollowed-out asteroid. A planet. It was marked on the charts as barren. A desolate rock with a thin atmosphere, poor soil, and no recorded life. Perfect. He landed his ship on the rough surface. Dust swirled around the hull. A soft wind carried mineral scents, dry and bitter. No one had ever been here. The sensors confirmed it. He was alone. He stepped out. The air was thin but breathable. The sky was pale blue, almost washed out. Mountains rose like broken teeth. Flat plains stretched into emptiness. This would be his home. He built a shelter quickly. Prefabricated panels, automated assembly. He rigged solar collectors and water Then he walked the barren plains. Not a sound but the wind and his own boots. Not a creature moved. Not even birds. Days passed, weeks, months. The isolation was perfect. He felt free for the first time in decades. And then came the sound. It was faint at first. A rustle, a whisper in the dust. He froze. His senses showed nothing. He dismissed it. Probably the wind. The next day it came again, louder, footfalls on the hard, dry soil. Something large, something fast. He moved carefully around his perimeter. Nothing. He started setting traps. Simple ones at first. Small snares. Sensors with alarms. Nothing triggered. Then he saw them. A group of figures on the horizon. Lean, muscular, moving with precision. Hunting. They were human, but not like him. Their skin was tanned from harsh suns. Their eyes sharp. Their weapons crude, but effective. Blades, spears, slings. They moved like predators. He watched them through binoculars. They were starving. It was clear in the way they hunted the small animals that scurried through the rocky ground. But even those were scarce. They had come from somewhere else. A long journey. And now they had found him. He felt a flicker of fear. Not the kind that grips the stomach. Something colder, calculated. He had no intention of becoming prey. The first encounter was cautious. He tried to communicate. They did not respond. They circled, observed, tested. One of them, woman, raised her spear, but then lowered it. They retreated without attack. He realized they were not mindless. They were intelligent. They were desperate, and they had waited. Weeks passed. The huntresses watched him from a distance. He fortified his shelter, built barriers. He tried to reason with them. They ignored him. They hunted the landscape and left him alone. For now, then came the night of the storm. A violent wind tore across the plains. Dust swirled like torn cloth. His shelter creaked. He huddled inside, listening. And then he heard it. Footsteps. Soft, measured, close, too close. He opened the door. They were there, 5 of them, their faces marked with dirt and dried blood, their eyes glowing in the dim light. Finally, the word passed through the air without sound. They were hungry, not just for food, for strength, for dominance. For him, he held his ground. They did not attack. Instead, they circled, watching, waiting. "You are alone," he said. His voice sounded strange in the wind. "You want something? But not just food. One of them tilted her head. She was the leader. Her eyes were piercing. "Finally, a male," she said. Her voice was low, rough, and strange. He had not expected them to speak. "I am not what you think," he replied. "I do not fight for sport. I do not hunt for pleasure." "Does not matter," she said. "You are here, alone, and we are starving." The meaning was clear. This was not just hunger. This was selection, survival, challenge. The days that followed were tense. He moved cautiously. They shadowed him. Their presence was constant, silent, watching. He felt their eyes, even when he could not see them. He learned their ways. They were skilled, exceptional. They could live off nothing. They could track through impossible terrain. They could strike with precision. But they were weak from scarcity. Starving, he began to understand. They were testing him. They wanted to know if he was worthy, and he realized something deeper. They did not just want a fight. They wanted a protector, a male strong enough to survive the hunt, to lead them, to endure. The first challenge came without warning. A predator of the plains, massive, armored, and hungry, attacked his shelter. He fought alone, barehanded, when his weapons failed. His mind raced. He improvised traps. He used the terrain, and he survived. The huntresses watched from a distance, silent approval in their eyes. The next day, they approached closer, not with weapons, not with malice, just observation. He prepared, every movement calculated, every reaction precise. He felt his instincts awaken. The isolation had sharpened him. He had become attuned to the barren land, to the wind, to the dust, to the slightest motion. He realized then that this was the test, not theirs alone, his own endurance, his own survival. Days turned into weeks. The huntresses integrated themselves into his routines. They respected his space but pressed him. They hunted together. They shared their limited food. They forced him to push limits he had not known existed. And slowly a bond formed. Not trust, not friendship, but understanding, mutual recognition, a connection forged through survival. Then came the final challenge. They brought him to the center of the plains, a natural arena. Rocky cliffs on all sides. He saw the creatures waiting, monstrous, hungry, and fierce. "This is the hunt," the leader said. "You survive, you lead, you are worthy. Fail, and you die." He did not hesitate. He moved with the precision he had honed over months, every step calculated, every strike measured. The huntresses flanked him, not interfering, observing, testing. He fought, not for pride, not for glory, for survival, for life, and he won. The creatures lay defeated, the plains silent, the wind carried no threat. Only him the huntresses approached. Their eyes softened. They touched his arms, not in submission, not in fear, recognition, respect. A silent declaration. Finally, the leader said, "A male who survives, who endures, who leads." He nodded. No words needed. From that day forward, the barren planet was no longer barren. Life returned, not just the huntresses, but purpose, survival, strength, a small community shaped by challenge and resilience. He had sought isolation. He had found it. But in the emptiness, he found something greater, not solitude, not peace, but a proving ground. A place where humans could push beyond limits, where worth was measured not by wealth or titles, but by courage and strength. And the huntresses stayed. Not as slaves, not as companions, but as equals, warriors who had found a male strong enough to endure their world. He realized then that the galaxy was not cruel. It was selective. It demanded strength. It rewarded the capable. He had bought a barren planet. He had found life. And finally, he was home. Asterisk.